Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky has suffered an embarrassing blow, being forced to bow to US President Donald Trump's demands to sign an agreement that would give the US up to $500 billion in revenue from Ukraine's rare earth minerals in exchange for their support during the war.
True that President Zelensky is coming on Friday to meet with you, and is the mineral deal sorted out?
I hear that. I hear that he's coming on Friday. Certainly, it's okay with me if he'd like to, and he would like to sign it together with me, and I understand that it's a big deal, very big deal. And I think the American people, even if you look at polling, they're very happy because, Biden was throwing money around like it's cotton candy, and it's a very big deal. Look, it could be $1 trillion deal, it could be whatever, but it's rare earths and other things. And look, we're spending hundreds of billions of dollars on Ukraine and Russia fighting a war that should have never, ever happened. That's a war that would have never happened if I were president. And it didn't happen for 4 years. People say, how do we know that it didn't happen for 4 years? Would have never happened. And nevertheless, this guy went into this situation and he spent money like nobody's ever seen, $350 billion. The other thing that we don't like is that Europe has spent $100 billion. We've spent $350 billion. Europe gets their money back because they spent it in the form of a loan. And we just gave them, whether it's 300 or 350 billion, nobody really knows. They can't even tell me the answer to that. It means probably more than that. So what we're doing is now we're saying, look, we want to be secured. We want to get that money back. We're helping a country through a very, very big problem, a problem like very few people have had. Shouldn't have had this problem because it shouldn't have happened, but it did happen. So we have to straighten it out. But the American taxpayer now is going to get their money back plus.
The backflip comes just days after Zelensky refused to sign the deal, but suddenly the president seems keen to get an agreement made to restore peace, even if it means giving up much-needed rare earth revenue.
These deposits are priceless. It is huge amounts of money. Huge. That is why we need to protect it. So if we are talking about a deal, that's what the Americans want, then let's do a deal. We are only for it. Let's do the deal. This is what I told President Trump when we were together. I told him this is the victory plan. Why victory? Victory for all.
Zelensky's trip to Washington in the coming days will be a pivotal point in the peace talks between Ukraine and Russia, where the US will broker an agreement between the two countries. Early reports hint at what can be expected from the deal, including the United States will earn 50% of the future revenue from Ukraine's mineral wealth as repayment for the United States tax dollars spent on the war. Ukraine will not join NATO, a long-standing non-negotiable for Russia and a key trigger of the war. No foreign troops will be stationed in Ukraine. Ukraine will cede territory and give up any ambitions for Crimea. Russia's concessions, if any, have not been disclosed yet. Online commentators are applauding Trump for brokering peace, with this person saying, Biden started this war. Boris Johnson sabotaged a peace deal. Likely millions died and hundreds of billions of dollars were spent as a result. Trump ran on bringing peace to Ukraine. Promises made, promises kept. MAGA. This person agrees, saying, Trump was right about Ukraine. Zelensky caved. Done. How does it feel, leftists, to be wrong again? Zelensky's humiliating backflip comes just days after he claimed Biden told him he didn't have to repay US money as it was a grant.
Я знаю, що у нас було 100. І це факт. Я не збираюсь визнавати 500. Хто б що не говорив, як би ми не спілкувались. При всій повазі, ще раз, при всій повазі до партнерів, але, я стійко стою, тому що це правдива ситуація. Абсолютно ми праві. І друга ситуація, якщо чесно, навіть 100 мільярдів я не готовий фіксувати. Поясню чому. Тому що ми не маємо визнавати гранти як борги. Подобається це чи не подобається? Я домовлявся з Байденом і домовлявся з Конгресом Сполучених Штатів Америки. Я вдячен Конгресу. Це була присутність двох партій і підтримка.
But Trump was not going to let him get away with it. Media commentators are waiting anxiously for Zelensky's visit, with CNN's Scott Jennings saying if Trump successfully brokers peace between Russia and Ukraine, he should win the Nobel Peace Prize.
I'm willing to give the new administration some latitude to try to enact the political will of the people of the United States, and that is for this to come to an end. The political will to continue to funding an open-ended engagement is draining rapidly. I think you would acknowledge that. And so Trump here is a new broker on the field and has a chance to do something amazing, and that is to get these two people to stop fighting, and in that case would bring some stability to the continent of Europe. And what he has to say publicly about Russia or Ukraine over the course of time, I guess I'm willing to give them some latitude if the ultimate result is this, what Pete Hegseth said initially, a sovereign and prosperous Ukraine, those were his words. The United States strikes a rare earth mineral deal with Ukraine, I would love that. And the governments in Europe decide that they do need to take a little more responsibility for their own national security. If these are the outcomes and the killing stops, they ought to give Donald Trump the Nobel Peace Prize.
Hold on.